Thomas à Kempis once said, "I have sought rest everywhere and not found it, except sitting in a corner by myself with my book."
This is Between the Bookends from Bookends in North Myrtle Beach along the beautiful coast of South Carolina with your host, Mindy, and me. I'm Scott Richards.
Hi, book friends. Welcome to Between the Bookends, your friendly North Myrtle Beach podcast where we celebrate what we've been reading recently. I'm Mindy from Bookends here with Scott Richards, and we are excited to share some great book suggestions with you today. How are you?
I am good, and I love that.
Yes.
Sitting by yourself.
With my book.
Because I think there are a lot of things that are social activities, but reading a book, I don't think is one of them.
Right. The after is social, which is interesting to me. But it is, I often want to socialize afterwards about the book, but I want a very clear do not disturb on when I am with my book.
We should point out that we're on location.
Yes. Our Be Known Coffee, our favorite little coffee spot. We are enjoying beverages and a little comfy spot in the corner. Thank you to them.
Thank you very much.
So what have you been reading?
Oh, all right. You want me to go first?
Sure.
I read a book. It was 2024, just a year and a half ago, The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins. And I picked this one up because she had done a blurb for another book that I read a while back. And I said, well, I hadn't heard of her, but I looked it up, and it's got really rave reviews. So it's two time periods. There's a Greek island, sometime in the 1800s, a Greek island. And on that island, there are, for lack of a better word, sacred spiders. They weave their webs, and somehow the women on that island recognize the spirituality of these spiders. They help with birth, they help with death. And along comes a British scientist who is going to study, and eventually he believes, I'm taking these spiders, which is not a good thing.
Right.
And as you might imagine, things don't turn out the way you hope. Then we have an alternate story timeline sometime in the maybe early 1900s. And it's not very specific, but it's in London, and it is mostly centered on a factory in London that is creating silk from these spiders' webs.
Oh, years later.
And this new silk has the amazing ability to create silence. However, there is a father and his deaf child and the child's governess, and there's a lonely young man from London coming to the factory. He is a hearing specialist. The factory is very unhealthy, and something is wrong in the sound and the lack of silence. But then there are the spider webs and this sense of silence, but it is not right. And there's a lot of mystery, there's spirituality, there's human longing. I want. Who's going to get rich? What are my ancestors? And it is fascinating, because we all think of silence as silence is golden. It's like, it can be. Yeah. But maybe
it can
not.
also be eerie.
It can be eerie, and maybe it's okay for some noise. It was very, very interesting, unlike anything I've read.
I was going to say, that is the most original or different kind of premise yeah.
And I haven't looked it up, but I don't know, can you make fabric out of spiders' webs? I don't know if you can.
That might be the creepiest thing I've ever heard of.
It is kind of creepy. And the spiders, they're there, but they don't really creep me out, because it's not like spiders are crawling over everything. But the spiders are there. Well, there are a few things. The spiders feed on mice and bats, and there's a little bit of that. It's like, that's but it doesn't deter from the story. The story really is about greed, and I'm making money, and I'm taking something that doesn't belong to me, and it's spiritual.
I got you. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Taking from the spiders, using it. Yes,
there.
Yes, that's where they belong.
Yes.
Leave well enough alone.
The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins.
Interesting. That does sound That's something. My first book to share was really clever. It is called The Midnight Show by Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne. And the story centers on a fictional, like Saturday Night Live-ish kind of comedy show. Of course, it's called The Midnight Show in the book. But it's based in New York City in the 1980s, and it's the story of how, these young breakout improv comics, are kind of getting through, and, the backstory of it. Particularly this one young improv comic, because she mysteriously vanishes, and then the story picks up 40 years later, where you've got a modern-day journalist going back to investigate this cold case. So, I mean, that's it's false. But as she's going back, the way she's getting her information... It's false,
meaning the cases?
Right. It's a fictional story, but, she's kind of... Everything she's telling me, I assume, is very... Saturday, real life TV kind of information.
Got it.
And it presents in the story as interviews with the surviving cast and the writers, the producers. She uncovers all of the toxic backstage drama that was going on, their rivalries, their secrets, and all of that. It sounds
like the movie that was out about a year ago about the making of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. I could, and so, she's trying to figure out where this young actress went, but she's just uncovering, kind of the icky behind the scenes of, what has to go on to make this production happen.
Who wrote this?
Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne. They have written together before, but I had not read them. It's just a very unique format because they use, snippets of... interviews and then transcripts from the show and old magazine clippings or emails. I love it when they do that little hodgepodge of media.
And this is a new book?
It is.
Newish?
A couple months ago, I think.
Yeah.
And so then they've laid out all these puzzle pieces, and, you're kind of trying to figure out. So it is a mystery because you're trying to solve where this actress went. But it was just fascinating, the behind-the-scenes part. Like, I love pulling the curtain back and seeing what's going on. I'm so nosy. And so that was the highly entertaining part. The authors really captured the underbelly of television fame and what it takes to get to that point. And it's not always ponies and unicorns to get there,
It's not. And I didn't work in television, but I spent 40-some-odd years in radio, so I had some connection to television. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, it's like any other business.
Yes.
There's ugly, there's good.
Exactly.
There's crazy. It's like,
Yeah, they're not all laughing all day long with each other.
No, they are not.
Yes.
Same in radio. It's like they're just people doing jobs.
Right.
And yes.
So this is fiction, but it felt very realistic and very original. So if you like Daisy Jones and the Six, which was a couple years ago.
Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Mm-hmm. This is
Look
right up your alley. Yeah, look at you. It's a very clever approach. Yeah. And the inside scoop kind of is similar to that story, but this one is focused on television instead of a rock band. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very fun. You're like, man, I don't think I want to be on Saturday Night Live. not that was ever going to happen, but you're like, they might be a little messed up back there when the curtain closes. So, but always fun to read other people's craziness.
Okay, a little backstory in this next book. Wendy Staub, The Lost Summer. Have you read Wendy?
I have not, but her name keeps coming up, and I'm like, I have to pay attention to that.
So, a number of years ago, I'll try to make this sort of brief. A number of years ago, I was sent one of her books for an interview at the radio station, and I was looking, and I thought, well, this sounds kind of familiar. She writes about a part of the world that I know, and as it turns out, we sort of know each other. She grew up in the same couple of towns.
Oh, fun.
And we knew a lot of the same people. We ended up talking, and I knew her dad, or knew who he was. He was a banker. And as it turns out, my wife said, well, I taught with her mom.
Oh my gosh.
The mom was a kindergarten teacher.
World.
My wife was a fourth grade teacher. Yeah, small world. So, we got to know a little bit. And then just, I don't know, a month ago, I saw that she was traveling. Facebook connects us all. And I saw she was traveling to Sicily. And she was visiting the town of her grandparents.
Oh, wow.
Which was the same town as my grandparents.
Okay.
And I thought, this is really amazing. Yeah. And so in the process, it's like, well, my brand new book is out. And it's called The Lost Summer. So
she does suspense, though, isn't she?
She does suspense.
Okay, I'm just making sure I get it right.
She does suspense. And now she's a relatively prolific writer. It's not, once every 5 years. She puts out books relatively frequently, but this doesn't feel like it. It's a good, tight thriller.
Good.
The Lost Summer is basically 4 friends as teenagers, and 3 of them are reuniting 25 years later to reminisce about the one that went missing as a teenager.
Okay.
So there's a lot of backstory.
Right.
One of them is a detective in this small town where they're meeting, and it's in upstate New York, and another teen goes missing. Sort of the same-ish circumstances-ish. Old secrets come to the surface. Old alliances are stretched a little bit. New secrets. It is tense. It is taut. It is a good, old-fashioned mystery thriller.
Excellent.
And it never thunked.
Good. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like,
right.
oh, you're kidding me. No,
yes.
it all made good sense. And I halfway through it, it's like, I think I'm going to keep going. I mean, now.
Yeah.
So I read this in a day and a half. It's one of those
you're like,
books
I really need to know
I
this.
need to know. And no, I did not figure it out.
Good.
But I don't normally figure it out. I'm overthinking it. But it's thoroughly a great mystery thriller. The Lost Summer. It's the latest. Wendy Corsi Staub. And Wendy Corsi, we knew her. And we knew the name.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Wendy. Really good book, and if you like mystery thrillers,
well, now she's definitely on the list because it's I've seen her name before, and I was like, all right, I
think there's her picture.
Excellent.
Wendy.
There she goes.
Yep.
It's funny. This is what I consider my beach read. Everybody has an opinion of what I read.
It would be a beach read, yes.
And this is a page turner for me. That is what I want when I want to sit on the beach and just fly through, the thrillers, the suspense, and.
I don't really go to the beach, but I sat out front when this weather was really nice over the last couple of weeks, and that was my beach read. It's it's beautiful out here. I'm reading this book, and I'm thinking,
Devouring
Wendy, you did a good job. Hey, she's a bestseller. I get it, but I was really pleased with it.
And you're not usually. That's not.
I am not
go-to.
a big. No, it's not.
So
it's not.
See,
and there's
what you're missing.
Every once in a while, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. That's great. All right, the next book I was going to chit-chat about is The Burning Side by Sarah Damoff. How would you say that?
Damoff?
Sure.
Damoff? Damoff? I'd say Damoff.
One of those. This is a family saga.
Cover.
Isn't it beautiful? It's a family saga, and it starts with this. Actually, it starts in a devastating way with a house fire, and April and Leo and their young children escape from their home safely, but with heavy hearts, because earlier that day, Leo and April had kind of decided that they were going to get a divorce. So their house is burned down. They are forced and displaced. So they are trying to recover. They move in with April's parents, which is, they're very supportive and, a little bit of close quarters, that kind of thing. But they haven't told anybody that they were kind of planning for this divorce. So they're kind of trying to cover that up. Meanwhile, her parents are kind of going through their own storm of the father having just been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And so they're keeping that a secret. So we're all living in these close quarters, but we're trying not to divulge too much of our information. Just very, realistic family dynamics. I am usually not a fan of family drama because I just feel like there is so much real life drama in that I just can't even.
And it doesn't have to be big everyday life, but there's the little life.
Yeah.
Why didn't you cook dinner?
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that.
Me? Right.
Yes.
But so it's just when it becomes so realistic, sometimes it tips me over the edge.
Yes.
This one did not, though. It was excellent. I don't know what it was, but it was so real, but it just made you. It was nobody's perfect. Life can be overwhelming, and it still can be okay. You can still have grace and forgiveness and hope despite all of the little, kind of, well, not little because they had a house fire, but even the large things that kind of seem to drag you down. There's always something that's going to turn out for the best from it. So I don't know how to explain why this one was different, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the characters. It wasn't far-fetched. It wasn't too overdone. I wasn't rolling my eyes like, this would never happen. These were it just seems like very regular and realistic. And that's
something I do worry about in terms of if I'm rolling my eyes while I'm reading a book, I'm probably not going to finish it.
Very true. And I'm definitely not going to be talking about it.
No, and we don't talk about books that don't grab us. And there are some
if
books.
I'm rolling my eyes, I'm not talking about it.
Exactly. We talk about books that have impacted us in a positive way.
Yeah. And, the characters, it was just had loving relationships that had unlovely parts. And I was like, that's actually the truth.
Life?
That's the real deal. Plus, the actual writing was beautiful. There were often little profound observations or beautifully written sentences that I was underlining. I just love the language. So I thought it was very beautifully written too. One of the quotes in there, things were kind of chaotic, and it said, "You know what? It's usually better to wait until morning. Sunshine has a way of dusting tragedy with hope." Isn't that pretty?
Oh, that is.
Yes. So I love the story. I love the characters. I love the writing in it. I didn't realize she actually had a book maybe last year, and now I'm definitely going back because I was like, I like what she does. So I think it's called The Bright Side was her other one. So
The Burning Side.
Yeah.
Sarah
I don't think
Damoff.
they're related, but yeah. So I'm on board.
Okay, so we're going to do this book together?
Yeah, because
You don't have any others? Mm-mm. Okay. So I think I mentioned this to you when we were comparing notes a little bit. When I read a book and the characters matter and I really care, I know this is well written.
Yes.
And I don't mean, I care about them, because it's like
you think about them.
I think about them,
yes.
And I think perhaps I can learn something myself, and they impact. So we're talking about the book, The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett, brand new. She wrote The Help, and I thought that was a great book. I liked the movie. She did take a little bit of heat at the time because, what do you know about your privileged white living?
Right.
I guess you can criticize anything.
Oh, and people do. So
I don't want to I just love this book.
Good. You can't over.
I can't. And it's like, I think if it's not perfect, it's because maybe there is no perfect book.
Well, certainly.
But it's certainly...
You said so far it's your book of the year, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Book of the decade.
Wow.
I was so impressed. And I'll just set it up, and we can talk about it. It's set during the Great Depression.
Yep.
Small towns in Mississippi. And there are two characters back and forth. Birdie, who is... I think
25?
Is she what?
25?
Or older? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. And then Meg, who was 11. Birdie lives with her mother, and she is going to go to visit her sister in Oxford, Mississippi, who is married, but they haven't heard from her in a year, but they need money.
Everybody needs money.
Everybody needs money, and his sister's married to a banker, so they must have money. So she goes and visits her sister. And also in this town is an orphanage of young people. And Meg is there because her mother left her.
Yeah.
A couple of things I do. I mean, the era I thought was portrayed very well. Everybody was struggling.
Yes.
We need money. We don't have money. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I not going to lose my house?
I was going to say the setting of 1930s Mississippi was so immersive. Like I was there.
Absolutely. From the foods and
yes. The hand washing machine, the minimal electricity, cornbread 25 times a day,
Right. And how am I going to make something with all I've got left, our canned tuna and yes.
So she did a brilliant job of making you feel like you were in that time. And
I think she did a great job capturing the language and the essence and clothing and the style and the dresses and the... he was wearing XYZ, and
very subtly, but it all came together to paint the picture. So we have Birdie that has gone to visit her sister. She's looking for money, but really nobody has money. And it is, what are we going to do now to save this family heirloom house, And because everybody's trying to save their house, And so the two main characters do come together, in a way at the end, but they alternate perspectives.
Would you call this a bit of a tragedy? It had that element at times.
Well, a lot of bad things happened. That's for sure.
A lot of
it's
bad
the
things
depression.
happened by people that think they're better than the rest. Mm-hmm. There's one character in there who is easy to hate.
Yeah.
And justifiably so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I loved it too much to say that it was a tragedy. I think that might turn. Maybe
tragedies are wrong, but there are tragic elements.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the plot points are tragic, but I just thought the characters were so well done that, and they were withstanding all of these
somehow
tragic
getting up the
things.
next day.
Yeah.
And I debated whether I should say what the main kind of driving plot point is, but no, we don't want to do that because it comes up and it's.
Yeah.
I will say though, I laughed out loud several times.
Absolutely.
Birdie, who will describe herself, says, "Well, my sister got the looks, I got the funny."
I got to go with something, right?
And Meg, she's 11 years old and smart as a whip, and she could be downright funny without trying to be funny.
So she was my particular favorite, the 11-year-old Meg LaFleur. She won my heart on the first few pages. Loved her. I mean, I'm talking like right up there with Scout Finch. Like that is, and for me, there's no higher praise. I listened to this one, to this whole book, and the particular narrator, Jenna Lamia, that did Meg's voice, I was captivated. I mean, she created the whole. I mean, obviously the character is there, but she brought it to life like I haven't heard in a long, long time.
I will say the Calamity Club did not end in a whisper. It ended perfectly, and some of us missed it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I should have seen it coming, but I smiled. I thought, oh,
yeah.
These characters are great. And it's not like the story was over.
True.
Story continued, and maybe it went well, maybe it didn't, but it finished.
Yeah. And I think that's how you know when you have that completed feeling at the end of a story.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Like at the end of a really good meal, and you're like, you sit back and you're
I didn't overeat. Yes.
Yeah.
It's complete.
So I absolutely loved it. She has done it again. The Help was 17 years ago, I think. And so, you kind of are like, what have you been doing? And now I'm realizing, well done. 17 years.
This is a big book. This is, let's see, how many pages?
So that is the other thing. It is 600 plus pages.
634 pages.
It was 30 hours of listening, in typical audiobooks, maybe about 9 hours. So.
Well, and one of the things we learn about the era of things that were done to many women. And I've read about other books, and I think we've talked about those. Women did not have the rights, and they were basically viewed as second-class citizens, and there were horrible things being done to women.
And you can know that from history, but she demonstrated that through the story, because I felt it more reading this than any time I've ever heard of the facts, But she did women's issues, she did prohibition, she did depression, she did so many topics in there so well.
Well, and the way we treated orphans.
Yeah. So much in there, and it was so good. It is long, but I hope it doesn't discourage anybody, because while I guess it's considered a commitment to go into a book that large, I did not regret a single page.
No. And I read this. I didn't read this in a weekend, but it was much less time than I expected.
That's true.
Because I wanted to read this book. But I will tell you, as I got towards the last 50 pages, I kept delaying it.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, then what?
So good, I don't want it to end. I mean, there's not much you can say better to an author or about a book than that.
So, Catherine Stockett, thank you.
Yeah. Well done. Alrighty. Well, to recap for me, I read The Midnight Show by Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne, The Burning Side by Sarah Damoff, and The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett.
And I read The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins, The Lost Summer by my friend Wendy Corsi-Staub, and Catherine Stockett's new book, The Calamity Club.
So, and we don't often read the same books, so that was kind of...
Yes.
I mean...
Yeah. And we didn't plan it.
Not at all.
It came out, we had to read it.
Right. And I think maybe that also speaks to one of those books that every kind of reader likes. And there's not, I mean, how many people have said they read The Help and didn't like it? You know, there are some books that just transcend all kinds of readers, and I think this could very well be another one of those.
I agree. Just perfect.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Scott, for all of your suggestions. Here's wishing our listeners can find a little bit of rest in a corner by themselves with a book. Don't forget to stop by Bookends to find these and other titles. We'd love to see you in the store, to browse the shelves, chat about books, and pick up your next great read. If you're shopping online, you can still support Bookends by ordering through bookshop.org. This website works just like Amazon. It has books and ebooks, except, unlike Amazon, bookshop.org shares its profits with little old independent bookstores like us. So it's very, very helpful. Same for libro.fm if you are an audiobook reader. This is how indie bookstores can get a little bit of added customers. It's the equivalent of Audible, and you get the same audiobooks, but instead of it going to Audible, they give us a part of the sales through libro.fm. So that's always so nice. So however you read, print, digital, or audio, thank you so much for supporting Bookends. Happy reading.